Part 63. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 622. P.S. I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions. Now search the WeChat public account Dread and follow it to give more support to Canon Fodder Strategy. And Ning thought Lily was the Neon Lily who wanted to compete with her, so every time she was provoked, she always sent people to find Yinzhen. At first, Yinzhen heard Ning calling him, so he came to the Anning home. But as time passed, Yinzhen, who had been busy recently, gradually became impatient. Li's daughter is now 17 years old. She is Yinzhen's only daughter who survived to adulthood. Yinzhen felt pity for her. Although he had promised to marry someone earlier, he had never been willing to marry his daughter off. Now he is delaying her because she is older. The emperor has already calculated the auspicious time, the wedding has been decided, and now the canonization of her is about to be announced. This is a rare happy event in Prince Yang's palace, but Ning always makes trouble with him, and Yinzhen gradually and occasionally Ning comes back. When called, it's not like I went almost every time out of the 10 times in the past. And in mid-April, Lily's time for confinement finally arrived. The courtyard of the Olanara clan has not been here for a month, but it is still so lively. When Lily led a group of girls into the courtyard of the Olanara clan, almost all the women arrived. Lily was the last one. And Ning had recently summoned. She asked Yinzhen to go to her courtyard, but Yinzhen refused several times. There were rumors in the house that she had fallen out of favor, and she looked even colder. Her smooth jade-like skin looked like a jade-carved dummy. With a creepy perfect texture. I thought she was favored, but now she has been ignored and despised by me, and she still dares to come to pay respects to Fujin so late. Mrs. Li muttered, and Ning's big dark eyes showed a look of resentment. Hearing this, she reached out and touched her fingertips without leaving a trace. She originally didn't care about relying on men's favor to live her life. She thought she had money, a natal family, and a lot of experience in life. She even had a secret weapon, but she didn't expect that no matter what she had, within 2 months of entering Prince Yang's mansion, Ning discovered that these things were all false. No matter how much you have, nothing is as important as a man's love. She doesn't care about Yinzhen's love, but she wants to use Yinzhen's love to knock down Lily. She wants to defeat Nian, a vicious and contrived woman, and make her regret coming to this world. And Ning thought of this, took a deep breath, and her expression slowly calmed down again. This time when Lily came in. No matter how arrogant she behaves, Ning never loses her temper. In the eyes of others, Ning seems to have accepted her fate, but Lily knows that Ning at this moment is definitely not resigned to her fate. This woman has a very tenacious character and the characteristics of this era. Women have no ambition at all. She should be thinking of using other methods to deal with herself, but Lily is not afraid. Soldiers are coming to stop him, and water is coming and the soil is flooding him. And Ning just thinks that he is fighting her for favor now, but she doesn't know that what he wants is her life. Originally, Ning was not interested in pleasing men, but now her thoughts are different, and her natural behavior and actions are no longer the same as before. Before, she had always regarded Prince Yang's mansion as a temporary habitat. She didn't care whether her body was intact or not, even if she slept with Yinzhen. It didn't matter if it was the first time for a modern woman. She was prepared to spend a few years in Prince Yang's palace. Then find an opportunity to leave the house again. Unless Yinzhen is willing to dump all these women and live a monogamous life with her, she is not interested in Yinzhen. She wants to escape from Prince Yang's house. Don't mess with this group of women. If Yinzhen is willing to choose her instead of Zhang Shen, then she will naturally repay Yinzhen wholeheartedly in this life. If he can't do it, she will choose another outstanding man who can share the same goals with her and be together forever. Just because although she often slept with Yinzhen in the past, the favor in the eyes of others was just physical pleasure for Ning, and it was not just for Yinzhen. Therefore, it didn't matter to her whether Yinzhen came or not. She didn't care if she was favored, but it was different now. If she wanted to hit Lily, she had to rely on Yinzhen. She used to be very cold to Yinzhen, and she had always taken it for granted that Yinzhen did anything to her. After all, as the old saying goes, well done, the one who fell in love first loses first. She has always kept her heart and has not fallen in love with Yinzhen, so Yinzhen likes her and wants to pamper her and help her. It is his own choice. She is indifferent. Now Ning changed her attitude. When she called Yinzhen over again, she was not as cold to him as before, and the bed was a little more charming. Even in terms of food, she began to work hard. Many modern delicacies were not available at the moment, and she also tampered with some ingredients. In order to prevent others from seeing it, she even cooked the dishes herself. Ning is very confident, and her actions can definitely give SIH, a man who was taken away from his biological mother since childhood, grew up in a palace, and has never enjoyed the warmth of home, a warm feeling. She arranged her courtyard to be warm and comfortable, and even tampered with the tea she gave SIH to drink. After a while, her cooking skills were not necessarily good, but the ingredients for her meals came from her own specific recipe. The food there has a pure natural smell and aura. Even ordinary tomatoes are definitely several times more delicious than tomatoes grown outside. Not to mention that the fish and chickens raised by oneself are not comparable to ordinary chickens, ducks, and fish. Some spiritual springs are added to the meals. Even the most unpalatable meals, once this is added, it will become unpalatable. It's an endless aftertaste. Ning decided to control Yinzhen's 3 meals a day first, making him unable to live without her. She would also start to help Yinzhen make plans in terms of actions. It was already the 51st year of Kangxi's reign, and it was the most critical moment for Zhulang to seize the throne. At that time, Yinzhen was ambitious for the throne, and Ning herself came from modern times. She had roughly learned about the history of the Qing dynasty from some TV novels. She no longer remembered many things, but she vaguely remembered that there was a counselor named Wu Sidao who appeared in many novels. He was a very powerful counselor. Ning kept this in mind and always mentioned it in front of Yinzhen inadvertently. In addition to giving Yinzhen advice on food and strategy, Ning knew that to win over a man, she couldn't just make him inseparable from her food and wisdom. She also had to show her feminine side. In terms of appearance, she felt that she might not be as good as Lily. But when it comes to body posture, charm, and some sexual skills, Lily may not be her opponent. There are many modern methods to seduce a man, and her body has been practicing yoga since she was a child. Her body is very soft, and she often drinks some spiritual springs to condition her figure and skin. It can be said that her figure and skin are almost flawless. In addition, Ning asked someone to prepare some underwear. Where had the ancients seen anything like this? She put on her sexy lingerie, and she loved taking baths with flower petals since she was a child. She carried a light body fragrance, and she was very enchanting and open in bed. She could do things that many women couldn't do. In addition, after drinking the spiritual spring to transform her body was very tight. Every time, he could regain the same touch as the first time, and he had the famous instrument that every heroine in the legend must have. Therefore, Yinzhen rested in a peaceful room for more than 10 days in a row. In this way, not only Lily wants to deal with Ning, but also other people in the backyard. In the past, when Ning did not enter the mansion, Nian Lily was considered favored. Except for Yinzhen, who must sleep in the Olanala family on the 1st and 15th day of every lunar month, everyone else in the backyard is also exposed to rain and dew. However, after Ning entered the house, Yinzhen was not a very important person. There is not much time in the courtyard. Now Ning takes up almost all the monthly quotas of everyone in the past. The other people in the courtyard are twisting their handkerchiefs and starting to curse secretly in their hearts. Many people, everyone was very anxious behind his back, and even several people in the backyard had joined forces to prepare to deal with Ning. Ning's favor made the women in the backyard of Prince Yang's mansion panic at the same time. Lily still looked unhurried. Living his own little life every day, apart from saying hello to Uranala, all he had to do was take good care of his body, in such a strange atmosphere. Time flies by in July, and the wedding date of Li's daughter in the mansion is scheduled for September. In mid-July, the emperor's decree was issued to confer the title of princess among them. This was a rare happy event in the palace. 3 of the emperor's children died in infancy. It was rare for a daughter to grow up and get married. Yinzhen was happy, and the Olanala family, after asking for his opinion, he invited the sisters in the backyard to have dinner together in the courtyard. Although Olanala has always been stable, she has become a little anxious in the past few months when Ning's family becomes the sole leader. She has no children, and now that Yinzhen is older and has almost stopped having sex with her, the chances of getting pregnant again in this life are very few, but if the inner court is balanced, her status will be stable. It is not good news that Niuhulu's Ning is favored like this now. Now that Yinzhen has pampered her like this, in the past if Ho Anning gave birth to a son, wouldn't this house be turned upside down? Therefore, today's gathering appears to be to celebrate the princess's marriage in September in advance, but in fact it is an opportunity given by the Olanara family to the women in the backyard. When the girl from Uranala's courtyard came to tell her about this in the afternoon, Lily was still taking a nap. When Xiaozi woke her up to dress up, she couldn't help but said, "I heard that I will be here for dinner today. Last time, Fujin gave me a piece of cloud brocade. I cut it into a robe and never had the chance to wear it. Master, why don't you just wear that one?" Yinzhen has almost stopped setting foot in Lily's yard in the past few months. Instead, he often goes to the Ningyuan. If Lily is not favored, there will be no chance of getting pregnant. If Lily loses favor again if she has no children in the future, it is really a big deal for a woman. It's a terrible thing. Now Lily doesn't even have much time to see Yinzhen. Xiaozi is deeply afraid that she will fall out of favor when she was young and beautiful, and end up in a miserable and empty house when she gets old, so today she plans to take care of Yinzhen for Lily. Dressed up brilliantly, she captured Yinzhen's heart in one fell swoop. The novel Canon Fodder Strategy will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the official account Dread and follow it. Hurry up. To be continued. P.S. The first update. 13 hours 21 minutes and 46 seconds nothingness April 6, 2015 13:21 and 46 seconds. Thank you, Nail Grass, dear Rutha for the Heshi bye. Thank you, dear Cafe, dear Heshi bye. Thanks to Yan Schwaning, Yan dear for the Heshi bye. Thanks to Mars Tong for the reward of Langyu Enzianpsa. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 623. P.S. I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions. Now search the WeChat public account Dread and follow it to give more support to Canon Fodder Strategy. Lily thought for a moment and shook her head. A weird smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, remembering that Ning's favorite clothes in the plot were nothing more than light blue, plain silver, or light green, which seemed to be elegant and dust-free colors. From the clothes she usually wore to Wu you can tell by the way Ranarashi dressed when greeting her. She looked like a fairy with temperament. Lily motioned to Xiaozi to help her up, and said, "Take out the rose-red cheongsam for me, and you also dug out all the clothes from the bottom of the box and put them on for me." Every servant has 1 or 2 pieces of clothing at the bottom of the box. Whether they are green or blue, they are reluctant to wear them on weekdays. They are only turned out and caged outside during the New Year and festivals. Some of these clothes are old clothes appreciated by the master, and most of them are old clothes. The colors were bright and bright. As soon as Lily said this, Xiaozi's face froze. Just when she was about to ask a question, Lily waved her hand. Xiaozi had no choice but to say yes and went out to call her mother-in-law and told everyone to go back and change clothes. In the evening, when lanterns were already lit in Prince Yang's palace, a group of masters from afar were supported by maids and mothers-in-law and arrived at Olanala's courtyard. And Ning was also wearing a light green satin cheongsam and was being hugged. Walk this way. The top of her head was decorated with sparkling gems. Unlike most women in the backyard who like to wear silk flowers, the gems on her head shone under the light, making her whole body look radiant. And his cool and quiet temperament is very extraordinary. When An Ning appeared, the originally noisy crowd suddenly became quiet, and she suddenly became the focus of the crowd. Li and others were envious and jealous. At this moment, everyone gritted their teeth and twisted their handkerchiefs, staring at An Ning. There is no woman who does not love beauty. Even Uranala endured the jealousy in her heart and stepped forward to ask what the jewelry on An Ning's head was. This is a gemstone that I, Amato, retrieved from outside the territory. I made several sets of jewelry for my dowry. An Ning was surrounded by people. She was a little bored and a little arrogant. These ancients didn't know what beauty was. They wore big silk flowers on their heads, which looked tacky and dull. She didn't like the popular jewelry in Beijing before, wasn't it too much? She is old-fashioned but has no new ideas, so she asked someone to find a lot of gems in the early years. At this time, ancient gemstones were cheap, and the ancients did not know the value of these gemstones. She made a lot of money selling ginseng and other products, and bought many gemstones to make jewelry according to her own ideas. Now it is natural to wear them. It caused a sensation. What she wears today is an emerald that matches the color of her clothes. Each of the hanging tassels has a drop-shaped emerald on the tip. The style is not old-fashioned and complicated. The brilliance of the gems flashed as she walked around, giving off a moving brilliance under the moonlight. She did not just wear jade like ordinary women on her wrists, but instead wore a bracelet inlaid with green diamonds, occasionally revealing the pure white. The wrist is so beautiful. Everyone's jealous looks made An Ning sneer. At the same time, An Ning lazily found an excuse for the origin of the jewelry on her body and was about to excuse it. At some point, the voice of a girl greeting Yinzhen was heard. Everyone turned their heads to look. I saw Yinzhen in the corridor wearing a black silk dress, covered by a black and white plaid vest. Wearing a small green leather hat, his eyes were deep and he was staring at An Ning. When Li and others saw this scene, they felt sour and a little angry. Just when a few people were about to throw off their veils and kneel down to say hello to Yinzhen, someone suddenly made a puff sound. All the tea he was drinking in his mouth spurted out in one gulp. When Yinzhen's eyes fell on An Ning, the kind of concentration and appreciation actually made An Ning feel a little satisfied. As a woman, she could charm the indifferent and scheming fourth master in later generations. Vanity, and just when she was a little proud, she heard the sound of Mrs. Wu coughing after spraying the tea. An Ning always felt that Mrs. Wu was jealous of herself, and looked at her with some annoyance, and saw Wu at this moment. As if she had seen a ghost, An Ning stared in the direction of the courtyard door. An Ning followed her gaze and turned her head. The corners of her mouth that had been pursed impatiently suddenly widened. Lily herself was wearing a rose-red festive cheongsam with piping. She was waving her handkerchief and stepping on her flower-pot-soled shoes as she swayed out of the courtyard surrounded by servants. Lily has looked good in the past few months. Excellent, Nian Lily's body is now in its youth again, and her skin is so tender that it can ooze water without maintenance. In the past, her complexion was just too bad, and even her 8-point color was reduced to 6 points. Now that I have taken good care of my body, even if I just draw my eyebrows and put a little rouge on my lips, I will look more colorful. Not only did she wear a brightly colored robe, but she also wore a peony on her head made of silk with the same color as the clothes. 2 pearls hung from her temples, swaying as she walked, matching her arrogant look. The arrogant expression and the bright color not only did not make her look tacky, but inexplicably gave her a bit more momentum. It's just that Lily is not the most surprising one at this moment. The reason why she made Wu squirt out the tea in her mouth is because the maids around her are dressed in colorful clothes, red, orange, blue, green, purple and pink. Almost all on weekdays, people in the backyard wore all the colors imaginable when making clothes, including an old lady next to her who wore an extremely gorgeous sky blue cheongsam. Following Lily, it was like a team of clowns came out. Wow, the color can shine wherever you go. When Yinzhen saw Lily, his eyebrows began to twitch instinctively. After not seeing each other for several months, Lily not only did not calm down because of falling out of favor, but she still looked arrogant. After entering the courtyard, Bailey's eyes glanced at everyone's faces one by one. A somewhat arrogant smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She threw away her handkerchief and said hello to the Urinala clan, then moved towards Yinzhen. She was smeared with a very strong ointment, which was a bit unaccustomed to the smell at first, but paired with her brilliant attire, there was an indescribable harmony. Lily greeted Yinzhen, and Yinzhen looked at it. Seeing her look like this, she was originally a bit stunning. But when he saw the colorfully dressed servants behind her, Yinzhen lost his temper. Such a bunch of servants would make a fool of themselves wherever they stood. He waved his hand in confusion. He motioned for Lily to stand further away, but Lily rolled her eyes and moved towards Ning. Sister Ning is so beautifully dressed today. As soon as Lily stood over to Ning, the servants behind her naturally followed and surrounded her. These Finnish servants dressed in colorful clothes are the focus of attention wherever they go, and can easily overwhelm anyone's brilliance. Even Ning, who is dressed in jewels and has extraordinary taste today, is now caught by Lily and Xiaozi beside her. When people surrounded him, the majesty and brilliance all over his body were instantly like a pearl dropped into pig food, and no longer exuded any unique flavor. Humphan Ning snorted coldly when she saw Lily coming over. She didn't appreciate her compliment, and was about to stand up and walk away, but when she moved, Lily also moved. The light green cheongsam that Ning wore today began to look dull in front of the bright and colorful colors of the rainbow. At the beginning, Li and others could not understand why Lily was making such a fuss today, but now when they saw Ning's face that was holding back her anger and surrounded by colorful colors, they all couldn't help but grin. He laughed silently. Everyone has long been dissatisfied with Ning. When everyone is trying their best to please Yinzhen, Ning wants to show off a unique appearance like the Nine Heavens mysterious girl. How can a group of women like her? They are all happy at this time. Read the joke. Tonight, Lily seemed determined to entangle Ning. Lily would follow her wherever she went, so much so that Ning almost tore the handkerchief in her hand. She had dressed up carefully and thought about making a blockbuster appearance. When Lily made such a fuss, Ning seemed to have become a joke. She hated Lily so much that she gritted her teeth. At this moment, I felt like I wanted to eat Lily alive. When sitting down, Balanara deliberately placed Li on his right-hand side, while Yinzhen sat on the left. Next to Yinzhen was Ning, and next to Ning was Lily. Xiaozi and others stood behind the two of them wearing various cheongsams, turning Ning into a scumbag. When Yinzhen subconsciously turned his eyes to Ning. Those bright colors will always grab your attention first. It is human nature to notice the brightest colors first when seeing a bunch of colors. Ning's original dress is just right. Her appearance is not particularly outstanding, but her temperament is elegant. Pleasant, not suitable for heavy makeup, but very suitable for such a simple dress that looks like an orchid in the empty valley. Logically speaking, between prosperity and elegance, generally speaking, people with temperament will always win, but Lily is on a secluded creek path, hard. Sheng Sheng suppressed Ning's temperament with her extremely vulgar prosperity, and this time she was clearly victorious. Although Ning tried to remain calm, her expressionless face still showed an unconcealable embarrassment and a sinister gaze. From time to time it would fall on Lily, her eyes penetrating. I haven't seen you for several months, but now that I see you, I wonder what kind of magic medicine I have taken, and it seems that I look much younger. Lily made Ning sick enough, and when she saw her livid face, his attention turned to Yinzhen. As soon as she said these words, Yinzhen frowned and scolded, "Nonsense! You are not upright all day long, and you are already 15, and you still talk like this childishly." This year, Yinzhen is already 34. For the ancients, when he was 30, Yinzhen had already started to grow a beard. Although he was in the prime of life, he could never be called young. He originally thought Lily he was bold enough to make fun of himself. Unexpectedly, as soon as Lily said this, Balanala hesitated for a moment and then nodded, "Sister Nian is right. I look much better lately." The novel Canon Fodder Strategy will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the official account Dread and follow it. Hurry up. To be continued. P.S. Second update. Thanks to ZXYY, he Shivi who was kindly rewarded by YY, and the third update, I suddenly discovered that the chapter title of the previous novel should have been about the heroine who traveled through the Qing dynasty, but it seemed that one word Chao was missing, forcing people suffering from the disease have a little pain in their balls. What should they do? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan ERWR. Chapter 624. P.S. I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions. Now search the WeChat public account Dread and follow it to give more support to Canon Fodder Strategy. The direct descendant Fujin spoke, and the people around him nodded one after another. Lily held her chin in one hand, and held the handkerchief in her other hand to cover her rouged lips, and said with a smile, "I have been resting a lot lately. In my opinion, Sister Ning is just like that vixen." Ning had already tolerated Lily for a long time. When she heard this, she finally couldn't help it. She was so angry that she trembled all over. She slammed her hand on the table, and the bowl and chopsticks jumped, and the spoon in the bowl jumped. They all jumped up and made a loud sound. Ning's pair of unibrows, which were different from the unibrow that women liked to draw at this time, almost stood up. She pointed at Lily and said, "Ms. Nian, you have to be careful what you say. Otherwise I'll slap you in the face." Lily had been teasing her for so long, just waiting for Ning to fall out. When she heard Ning's anger, Lily suddenly stood up, with one hand on her waist and the other pointing at Ning, her fingertips almost piercing her. In her nostrils, the handkerchief was still dangling on Ning's face. Her voice was much louder than Ning's. Now she screamed, "Why are you so mean? If you dare to slap me in the mouth, I will kill you teeth. What's wrong with saying you're a vixen?" Fujin came to comment on his sister. "I just want to say that I recently rested at Niuhulu's house. Not only did he not look haggard, but he looked younger. He became a character in those ghost novels. The fox knows how to nourish people. Generally, a man who falls in love with a monster will be sucked in the yang energy and look old. I look much younger. It seems like he has been nourished by someone." As he spoke, Lily's stretched out hand began to wave desperately, and then reached out to grab Ning. "What did I say wrong? What did I say wrong? Even if you are old, you are not bullying like this. What do you think I said wrong? Did I say wrong when I said you nourished me well? Everyone was so shocked by such a turn of events that they couldn't recover for a long time. And Ning was so angry that she was trembling all over. She gritted her teeth to hold it back. Lily was injured and wanted to hit her from time to time, but it seemed too fussy for her to block it. After all, Lily's hand did not hit her face, but the corner of the handkerchief occasionally hit her face when she swung it up. She didn't feel it at first, but after 2 more strokes, her delicate skin became a little hot, and Lily's voice was like a demonic sound piercing her ears, making her ears buzz. Ulanarashi saw Lily crying and fighting fiercely at this moment. The corners of her mouth twitched and she couldn't speak. She subconsciously turned her head to look at Yinzhen. Yinzhen's face was livid at this time. Lily's bold words had left an impression in Yinzhen's mind that her mouth was open. Now, I wasn't that surprised by her random metaphor. After all, Lily had already said something even more embarrassing, although it was a bit bold and direct to say it now. But it's nothing compared to last time when he pointed out that he had a strong desire for peace. Everyone is here to judge me, and you want to slap me. Why do you hit me? My parents have never slapped me. Why do you think so? Tell me, Lily cried and pretended to wipe it with a handkerchief. Wiping away her tears, she pushed Ning several times while still crying and shouting, "Why do you want to say hit me? What right do you have? What grudge do I have against you? Why do you say that? Say it." Everyone was troubled by her. And Ning endured it again and again, clenching her hands into fists and then loosening them. Today, Lily stole her limelight as soon as she came in. These tacky and ridiculous clothes really stole away all her charm. The gemstones and jewelry she was proud of were weighed down by the large clumps of silk flowers, and the clothes she carefully selected were dimmed by these bright red and green clothes. Even the all-natural, perfume-free body fragrance that men like because she took flower petal baths since she was a child, was completely covered up by the smell of the countless ointments Lily had applied all over her body. Now she was likened to a vixen, and a few days ago she was said to have strong desires. For a woman, how could she bear it? She just accused Lily out of anger, but now Lily kept asking her to judge the truth. The string called reason in Ning's mind suddenly seemed to be broken with a ding, and she couldn't stand it anymore. Even a saint couldn't bear it when he met a shrew like Lily. No wonder Confucius said that only women are difficult to raise with villains. She didn't agree with this sentence before. After all, she was a woman. And Ning always thought she was calm, rational and reasonable, but she didn't expect that she would agree with these words so much at this moment, as if these words were tailor-made for Lily. She didn't expect that the favored Nian in history would be such an overbearing, cunning, and shameless person. No wonder many novels and TV shows show Nian usually died at the hands of the heroine. And Ning stood up fiercely, pushed Lily, and shouted loudly. "I'm just telling you, are you going to use it all the time? What's wrong with beating you? Your parents didn't teach you well, so I just want to teach you a lesson for them." Before she could finish her words, Lily's hand that was pointing in front of her face suddenly raised, and with a crisp sound, Lily slapped her face. Lily slapped her hard. When the palm of her hand was pulled down, her palms were numb. And Ning was hit so hard that her face tilted to one side. The jeweled tassel on her head was shaking desperately. She didn't even react for a long time. After Lily had beaten the person, all of a sudden he rushed towards Yinzhen. "Please make the decision for me, Niuhulu, she insulted my parents, concubine, concubine." Lily seemed to be very aggrieved, crying so hard that she was out of breath. She is not a fool. And Ning's appearance shows that she is in good health and looks very good. Nian Lily's body was born a little weak, and the original owner was very worried in the past. Although Lily tried her best to nurse herself back to health for several months, the foundation is there. After all, it was just a lie. If they really wanted to fight, it might not look good later. Now that I had finished beating Ning, I let out a sigh of relief and had teased her enough. Naturally, I wanted to find someone to hide and protect myself. When Lily's cry reached Ning's ears, she still felt her ears buzzing. As soon as the numbness on her face passed, a burning pain hit her heart. How dare Lily hit her? How dare she hit her? Beat her, and after the beating, dare the villain to file a complaint first. And Ning's eyes were about to burst into flames at this moment. She turned her head with a ferocious expression and stared at Lily fiercely. She could no longer see Yinzhen at this moment. She just thought that she would be beaten by an ancient man. She had never been slapped in her life. In her previous life, her parents treated her like a piece of jewelry. Now in ancient times, she has been aggressive in everything. Ling Zhu and his wife regard her as the apple of their eye, and are not willing to touch her even a finger. And Ning went a little crazy. She rushed towards Lily. You bitch. Everyone was stunned by the big show tonight. Yinzhen has known Ning for 10 years, and the most he has seen is her arrogant look when she is calm. Sometimes she seems to have a completely different charm from women of this era, confident and elegant. Charming, she is calm and self-reliant, and her personality has the strength of a man and the charming and cold side of a woman, but he never thought that Ning would sometimes go crazy and act violently. I don't know if Lily has acted like a scoundrel before. Yinzhen has seen her a few times and was frightened by her bold speeches. He already had a certain resistance in his heart and thought that Lily would do such a thing. He was not very surprised by what happened, but Ning was different. Ning's image in Yinzhen's heart had always been good. Recently, the attentiveness in serving him 3 meals a day was almost better than that of the Fujinwalanala clan, and Yinzhen also obviously felt that when it comes to the benefits of Ning serving him, whether it's meeting his needs, advising him, or letting him have a healthy body, Ning has done it all. In the eyes of men, he can go out of the hall and into the kitchen, and he is a noble lady outside. But there was a slut on the bed. Ning did everything perfectly, so Yinzhen was shocked when he saw her looking crazy for the first time. Okay. How inappropriate is it to have a fight? Yinzhen came back to his senses, his face turned very ugly. At this moment, he grabbed Ning's hand and couldn't let the two women start fighting on the spot. What will be lost is the face of the fourth prince's house. If it spreads, Kangxi may blame him for lax governance. Now is the critical period for him to seize the throne. How can he govern the country if he has a lax governance? The comments made Yinzhen feel like vomiting blood. There are times of discord in everyone's backyard. Many women are gentle and considerate on the surface, and everyone's sisters are so affectionate. There must be some who are stabbing behind their backs. Yinzhen himself knows it, but he fights in public like this. It was the first time in his life that he saw someone getting up. Yinzhen endured the fire in his heart, pushed Lily behind him to block it, and pulled Ning into his arms. Everyone eat in peace, and I will explain it to you later. Why? Yinzhen's words were actually disguised as siding with Ning and protecting her. Li and others could hear it. Olanara's expression changed, but he stood aside and remained silent. Make a sound. Ning's heart dropped. She felt that she had done a lot for Yinzhen. Recently, she not only nursed his body back to health, but also served him in every possible way in bed. She even gave him a drink of spiritual spring and cooked for him. Serving him 3 meals a day, although originally these were behaviors to compete for favor, to get Yinzhen on her side and to stimulate Lily, but now Ning felt that regardless of whether Lily was stimulated or not, she was stimulated anyway. Her efforts were not rewarded, and she suddenly felt a little aggrieved. If in the past, when Yinzhen was trying to please her, she would not give anything, just enjoy it, and treat Yinzhen as an ordinary lover/husband, then Yinzhen stood on Lily's side today, and she might sneer and say in her heart, a bitch matches a dog, forever. The novel Canon Fodder Strategy will have more new content on the official WeChat platform at the same time. There is also a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign in the upper right corner, add friend, search the official account Dread and follow it. Hurry up. To be continued. PS, the third update is late, everyone has been waiting for a long time, I'm sorry. The third update is the last update to pay off the redundant fan votes from last month. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 625. PS, I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions. Now search the WeChat public account Dread and follow it to give more support to Cannon Fodder Strategy. But Ning can't do it now, especially when she feels that after she has paid so much, there is no way for Yinzhen to treat her like this. Since he owes her, even if the two of them break up, Yinzhen must pay back what he owes her. Those spring waters were extremely precious, and since he drank them all, he had to stand by her side. Yinzhen thought he was on her side, but Ning didn't appreciate it. In front of so many people, it was okay for Ning to be a little naughty in private in the past, but now so many people didn't leave much room for him. With a good face, Yinzhen's face is even worse. Nian is not sensible and she is young. You are generous and considerate. Give her some time and don't argue with her. When a woman asked him why he was talking in public, Yinzhen felt that his authority was being challenged. He spoke slowly. Slowly, Ning became a little solemn. When Ning heard this, she was even more angry and trembling, just because she is ignorant, fierce and unruly, so she deserves to be let go. I am sensible, so I can't care about her like this. What kind of nonsense logic is this? Ning was so angry that she almost spit out a mouthful of blood, especially when it was Yinzhen who said this. She was even more angry. Slowly, her expression calmed down. At this moment, she stopped struggling and just sneered, haha, I was wrong before. You are ruthless, so I will give up. The world is so big that there is no place for her to stay, and it's not like she has to be Yinzhen. Not to mention that it's hard to find a toad with 3 legs in the world. Are there too few men with 2 legs? She no longer wants the philandering Yinzhen. She no longer cares about this kind of public cucumber. She wants to find her second spring elsewhere. As soon as the words were spoken, Yinzhen's eyes gradually darkened, and his breathing gradually became heavier. He used to think that Ning was sensible and considerate, but now Ning said such words. Yinzhen was a little disappointed and a little angry at the same time. He was a high-ranking prince and a descendant of the royal family of the Qing dynasty. Anyone who didn't call him Shenye when seeing him was rarely under pressure except Kangxi and the elders in the palace. The person who loves him, Yinzhen, is ambitious. The next thing he thought about was Jun Linchen, and if Ning was just showing off his temper in the room, it would be fine if he didn't give him face like this in public. Yinzhen snorted coldly and pushed Ning out of his arms. Niu Hulu is suffering from hysteria. Take her back and shut her door to reflect for half a month. She is not allowed to come out. And copy the Buddhist scriptures 20 times to calm her mind. After Yinzhen gave the order coldly, he did not look at Ning's wide-open face. With eyes wide open and a look of disbelief on his face, he stretched out his hand to grab Lily, who was hiding behind him. Just as he was about to speak, Lily looked at Ning, gloated and suddenly shouted, "Master Niu Hulu, your gem fell off." This time, everyone's attention was focused on Ning, who was pushed to the ground by Yinzhen. Ning shivered and glanced down at the ground. Lily laughed again, "I'm just teasing you. Seeing that Sister Ning is in a bad mood, I want to make you happy. I hope you have a lot of thoughts, but don't care about what I just said unintentionally. Sister also knows that my personality is like a child. I'm going to Nima's kid." Ning now had the urge to swear. She couldn't bear it anymore. She didn't have anything at hand, and she didn't care about the precious jewelry on her head. She was so angry that she pulled off the gem on her head and threw it at Lily, gritting her teeth. Roll. Lily smiled and was not angry. She stretched out her hand to catch the gem jewelry and threw it to Xiaozi next to her. Why don't you thank Fujin for the reward? Seeing this scene, and Ning finally couldn't hold it back. He fell straight backwards. No matter how many gems she collected from now on, she would probably never wear them to show off again. Lily looked at Ning being picked up and carried away, her eyes narrowed, and she sneered. Come with me. Yinzhen was still angry at this time, and naturally couldn't eat the dinner. He grabbed Lily and dragged her towards her courtyard, leaving Olanara to think about peace today. De Yinzhen looked furious, smiled with satisfaction, and reassured people in each hospital not to spread the news about tonight's events. When they arrived at Lily courtyard, it was already dark. Yinzhen He dragged the person into the house with a sullen face. The discerning maid had already brought tea to him. Yinzhen was still very angry at this moment. Let go of Lily, and found a soft chair to sit down. When he saw Lily standing in front of him holding a handkerchief, he felt angry and had a headache. He patted the small table hard, kneel down. His anger made Xiaozi and the others' legs tremble with fear. Lily rolled her eyes in her heart, slowly twisted her skirt and knelt down. She was afraid that she would feel uncomfortable if she knelt for a long time, so she simply sat down. On the legs. Looking at her appearance, Yinzhen was full of anger, but suddenly felt weak. This year's family still has some effect. Lily is now a dead pig and is not afraid of boiling water. She seems to have thought about whether to lose favor or not. In the past, she still wanted to do it. If she doesn't pretend to be sick to call her out, she can almost live her own life now. There is no point in punishing her to copy scriptures. Unless she is ready to start a Nian family at this time, it is not a wise move to touch Lily at this time. The thoughts in Yinzhen's mind were rolling back and forth. When he saw a group of anxious girls kneeling behind Lily, most of the anger in his heart was vented. These people, paired with Lily's rose-red clothes, looked like a rainbow when they went out. The red, orange, green, red, blue, and purple are almost all ready. Besides being tacky, they are also a bit funny. Thinking of what happened tonight, after Yinzhen suppressed his anger, he wanted to laugh again. Reluctantly holding back, he pointed at Lily and said, "The Nian family has a family background after all. Nian Xiaoling is an upright official and has a strict upbringing. Your eldest brother is now the governor of Guangdong, and your second brother is also a tiger father with no dog son. Why, after giving birth to a daughter, she will be so willful and unruly? Didn't Mrs. Niuhulu just say that I don't have a good upbringing?" Lily didn't forget to put eye drops on Ning. What Ning said was completely different from what Yinzhen said. Being blocked by her, Yinzhen glared at her again. She is a woman, what does she know? But I think Sister Ning is quite understanding. Didn't I hear that sister helped me a lot? Lily remembered that in the plot, Ning came to visit her once before Nian Lily died, and said to Nian Lily in a condescending manner. He couldn't live without her and needed her. At this moment, his heart moved and he deliberately said these words loudly. The most taboo thing for men is that the career they have worked hard for is finally said to be dependent on a woman. No matter how much he loves the woman, the man will never admit it in his heart. In addition, Ning just made Yinzhen angry today. He heard that Lily after saying this, his expression suddenly became a little cold, and the muscles on his cheeks twitched slightly before he asked coldly, "Is it true that I have become younger recently?" Lily is not the only one who has been saying this recently. But in the past, when others said it, Yinzhen only thought it was what he said but did not mean it. He himself did not need to dress up in the mirror every day. In addition, the changes he made day by day were not very obvious. People around him, it's normal for a person to be so cold that he can't even notice it for a while, but Lily, who hasn't seen him for several months, says he has changed, which shows that she has really changed. Lily's vixen words in his ear tonight finally planted the seeds of doubt in Yinzen's heart. He was originally a suspicious and indifferent person, and did not easily trust others. In the past, he had never doubted Ning. Forget it, after Lily prompted him, Yinzen suddenly became a little wary. Of course I've become younger. I've eaten something good, and I look like Sister Ning. Lily's heart froze, but she put on an outspoken look on her face. Yinzen has indeed become more and more like Ning recently. Like a man in his 30s, even if Yinzen is in his prime, but in the past, because of too much thinking, he could still see the shadow under his eyes, but now his face is smooth, and if he doesn't have a beard, he looks like a 17-year-old, like an 8-year-old boy. The skincare products and maintenance are too good. In addition, the texture of Yinzen's skin now is as good as if Lily had been beautified after seeing it in an advertisement. The same is true for Ning. If Yinzen's changes have nothing to do with Ning, Lily doesn't believe it. At this moment, she was 80% sure that Ning should have traveled from modern times, and should have an omnipotent space in her hands. The ginseng offered by Ning in the past was nothing more. There were spies sent by other women in the backyard in the Lily courtyard. There are also spies sent by Ni and Lily in the past in the Hulu clan. Although some core information cannot be heard, some gossips are passed back. It is said that Ning can eat some fresh fruits at any time, even if it is not. She has all the consequences in these seasons. Thinking about Yinzen's changes as if he was rejuvenated, Lily still can't guess. When he heard her asking him what he had eaten to become younger, Yinzen's body involuntarily stiffened. He remembered that he had been eating and living with Ning for the past few months. At first, he only felt that the food she cooked was holding him back. The taste of his heart was indescribably delicious, and it also gave him the warmth of home. At first, Yinzen didn't expect anything, but now he thought about it. He was the fourth prince, but he often ate with Ning. Did she really do anything to him? The more Yinzen thought about it, the more chilled he felt. His eyes flashed coldly, and then he glanced at Lily and said calmly, "Wash up and get settled." At this moment, he didn't want to mention Ning anymore, but sooner or later, Yinzen would get to the bottom of this matter. There were so many weird things about Ning, and he seemed to have a strange liking for her. If Lily hadn't made a big fuss today, the situation made him suspicious and disgusted. He might really fall deeper and deeper into Ning. As a prince who grew up in the palace, Yinzen had always been calm and self-reliant. Now he was thinking about what fascinated Ning. "I couldn't help but feel a little cold on my back vest." The novel Canon Fodder Strategy will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the official account Dread and follow it. Hurry up. To be continued. P.S. The first update. It's still the third update today. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 626. P.S. I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions. Now search the WeChat public account Dread and follow it to give more support to Canon Fodder Strategy. In addition, Ning made a scene that went too far tonight, so Yinzen decided to give her a cold shoulder and let her know who was in charge in the house. He knew that Ning disliked Lily the most, so he deliberately planned to stay here tonight. Lily's office can be regarded as teaching Ning a lesson. Unexpectedly, as soon as he said this decision, Lily gave him a disgusted look and vaguely reminded, "Don't you go to other sisters' courtyards?" With so many things happening today, Yinzen had no idea what to do, especially when he saw Lily's appearance and the way her face was covered in makeup from crying. How could she still have any sense of beauty? Now he even disliked himself, and couldn't help but laugh angrily. "Hurry up and get some water." When the servants in the room heard this, they moved faster than Lily's order. The two of them finished washing one after another before going to bed to rest. Lily slept soundly with her quilt in her arms all night, but Yinzhen tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. He was originally worried. Simple people who live in the palace usually don't live long. It doesn't matter if they haven't doubted peace before. Of course, he wouldn't think too much about it, but now that he had doubts, many doubts emerged. For example, how did she know that Wu Saidao had too many fingers on her own important matter of seizing the throne? She had helped him in the past. The more Yinzhen thought about what he had done several times, the more something went wrong. He couldn't sleep, but Lily was so heartless. She took off her makeup, and she didn't look as arrogant as before when she was wearing heavy makeup. Her soft long hair covered the entire quilt, making her palm-like face look quite charming. Only then did Yinzhen realize that Nian Lily's body looked much better than Ning's. Seeing her cheeks flushed from sleep, Yinzhen reached out and touched it. The girl's skin felt warm and delicate under her fingertips. Under the dim light outside, she could see a layer of fine down on her face, and Yinzhen's heart moved. Zheng Xiang was about to reach out to untie her clothes, but suddenly he remembered Ning's smooth and flawless face. He might as well think of Lily's words today that he and Ning were somewhat similar, and Yinzhen's movements suddenly stopped. Then, he stretched out his hand and touched his face. The smooth and delicate touch felt like fine silk when it touched a woman's skin in the past, and he felt a chill in his heart. He suppressed the thoughts that had just emerged, but his heart was beating violently. When Lily woke up the next morning, she was kicked awake by Yinzhen. He couldn't sleep last night. He couldn't bear to see Lily sleeping soundly. He had to go to court early in the morning. Somehow, Yinzhen just wanted to take her away. Make a fuss. Seeing Lily sitting by the bed with a gloomy face, he contentedly allowed the servant to put on his clothes, and after telling Lily not to forget to pay his respects to Fujin, Yinzhen walked away. As soon as he left, he threw the porcelain pillow to the ground casually. What happened in the backyard of Prince Yang's mansion was covered up, and no one dared to tell the outside world. Yinzhen was very satisfied with the way Olanala dealt with it, and rested in the main room for 2 days in a row, and stayed here then unless he doesn't enter the inner courtyard. Once inside the inner courtyard, she would always go to other women's courtyards to rest, which was something she had never done since Ning married into Prince Yang's mansion. The women in the backyard were all ecstatic about this, and Ning had been the only one to pamper her for too long. Many people felt a little scared about this. Fortunately, Hai Lily made her mad that time. That's why she was ignored by her master. Many people took advantage of this opportunity to desperately try to get pregnant, hoping to have a child to rely on when the confinement was lifted after a month of tranquility. Under such circumstances, a month passed quickly in the blink of an eye. During the Mid-Autumn Festival in August, Bolanala seemed to have forgotten the unpleasantness of inviting the girls in the backyard to come for dinner and invited everyone to join them. Go to the courtyard to admire the moon. On this day in the plot, Ning stunned everyone with her plain silver clothes, playing the pipa and dancing, which made Yinzhen never forget her. Lily had already been prepared for this. Half a month ago, I had borrowed 10 girls from the Olanala clan, and had neat clothes cut in advance, just waiting for the show to unfold tonight. The table in the garden was now filled with flower melon cakes. When Lily led a group of people to come, Mrs. Lee was eating the nuts that the girl had beaten open. When she saw Lily, he sneered. The ostentation is really not small. Look at the servants around Sister Nian. There are more servants than the ones around elder sister Ms. Lee has such a character. She doesn't like anyone who is sleeping with her now. After all, now Yin Zhen's descendants have few heirs, and it seems that only her son Ongxi is likely to inherit the position. Li hates these women for taking away his favor, and is also afraid that these women will become pregnant and take Ongxi's position, so in Beihe, even though I have suffered losses in my hands, I always fail to learn well and I always have to say a few words before I feel happy. Olanara didn't say anything, and Li continued, I thought he was some kind of big shot. I haven't conceived a child for you, so why should I be proud of leading so many people? Okay, when Yinzhen heard this, he stretched out his hand and patted the table. It's a rare mid-autumn festival. If you don't want to stay here, just go back to your own yard. Ever since he saw the relationship between Lily and Ning after the fight, Yinzhen became very impatient with this trivial matter between women. Now seeing the well-behaved Mrs. Li starting a conversation again, she felt angry for no reason, and he spoke without caring about her face. Li scolded her. She didn't dare to speak out, so he turned away with a gloomy face. A group of women all came today, including Li's soon-to-be married daughter. Being scolded by Yinzhen in front of a pair of children, Li's face turned red and she didn't dare to speak out, but she felt a little aggrieved in her heart. Dare to cry, so I had to vent my anger on the maid, turned around and pinched the girl who was beating the nuts hard, and then I felt a lot more comfortable. Lily led more than a dozen maids into the pavilion, and the whole pavilion was packed. She bowed to Olanala and Yinzhen in turn, found her seat and sat down. Lily was among the girls, she was the last to arrive. Now everyone was sitting down one by one, and Olanara was about to make a suggestion. It's rare that I have free time today, and the sisters are together again, why not beat the drum to pass? Before the last word of flower was uttered, suddenly a burst of guhan sound sounded like a gust of wind and rain, sometimes like rain hitting banana trees, sometimes gentle like a gentle breeze and flowing water. Everyone was stunned subconsciously, hearing something a little. While she was intoxicated, Lily grinned. A laugh from the sea. A woman's quiet voice rang out, and then under the silvery moonlight, a slender figure appeared in front of everyone. Li was stunned subconsciously, chewing the fruit in her mouth. Renner actually choked when she swallowed it. She covered her mouth to hold it in until her face turned red and she couldn't cough. And Ning, who had not been seen for a month, now had long, soft black hair hanging around her back. She was wearing the traditional clothing of a Han woman, with a forehead pendant between her eyebrows. Apart from that, she had no other jewelry. Her wrists and hands were a copper bell was tied between her legs, and a clear bell sounded when she walked around. She was wearing enchanting makeup, her big eyes were outlined in extremely long and charming ways, and she was holding a big guhan in her hand, and she was singing in her mouth. While sitting, they danced. As soon as she turned around, her hair brought up an after image. Following her movements, she waved her arms, and her sleeves made a moving ripple. When the hem of her skirt turned, she looked like an elf from a foreign land, which made people look at her. Unblinking, Yinzhen only took one look and could no longer look away. To be honest, time travel girls do have many innate advantages compared to local girls. And Ning knows modern dance. She has practiced yoga since she was a child, and her experience in dressing up with clothes and jewelry is far from what it is now. Compared with the ancients, modern people are like the people standing on the shoulders of giants who have thousands of years of ancient Chinese civilization. Originally they could see further than the ancients and stand higher than them. Now she packed up her clothes. She stood up and played the music of the sea bursts into laughter. Today, when August and 15th are full, she seems to be like Chang'e who came out of the moon palace. Her image is breathtakingly beautiful. And Ning's original appearance was only 6 points, but once she dressed up and put on makeup, she immediately became very beautiful. In addition, Yinzhen was used to seeing Manchu women dressed up. When Len Yehui saw such a dress, he subconsciously turned. The wine glass was placed on the table, and her eyes were fixed on Ning, unable to look away anymore. She was singing a song in her mouth, and her body was twisting like a water snake. The scene under the moonlight seemed like a phantom, just like a phantom. Even Li, who was usually unforgiving, subconsciously held his breath and stared at Ning. Lily suddenly raised the corners of her mouth and smiled. And Ning kept moving her hands. The passionate music and her soft body formed two completely different contrasts. Especially this piece of music that she had never heard before made her even more excited. Yinzhen became a little obsessed. A laughter spreads across the sea, and Ning had finished singing once and was about to sing again when suddenly a group of neatly dressed maids behind Lily started to drink in unison. Hey! The tide is rolling across the Taiwan Strait. As soon as Ning finished the lyrics, the maid said again, ha! The music was originally good, but someone suddenly started to drink. Yinzhen was not only startled, but also quickly fell into the beautiful scene that seemed like a magic spell by these maids. Woke up with a start, his hands shook and he glared at Lily hatefully. Not far away, Ning's steps became a little stiff now, and her charming eyes stared at Lily like a knife, but soon after a pause, he continued singing. Follow the waves and just remember the present. Humph haha. The novel Canon Fodder Strategy will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click the plus sign on the upper right, add friends, search the official account Dread and follow it. Hurry up. To be continued. PS, second update. The third update is at 7 o'clock, it should be at 7 o'clock. Hurry up and use your pink tickets to encourage me, all the forced ones. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 627. Before Ning finished singing, a group of girls started drinking expressionlessly again. What was originally an excellent performance and a stunning scene suddenly turned into a farce. Some people around them had already come to their senses and quickly turned their heads. He lowered his head and his shoulders twitched slightly. Yinzhen also wanted to laugh. No wonder Lily brought so many maids here today. It turned out that she was here to vent her anger on Ning. The two of them were like natural enemies. There was always a fuss when they met. Yinzhen was both a little angry and a little funny. And Ning's voice alone was definitely not as loud as the shouts of these maids. Every time she drank, the group of people cheered her up. By the end, her face was already very ugly. The common people laugh. As soon as she finished singing this line, the girls shouted again, the common people are laughing. The tone of the last sentence was also dragged out for a long time, and these people had no idea about the original song when they sang it. I understand, so the tone sounds weird. When Ulanara heard this, he finally couldn't hold it back, and burst into tears with laughter. Lee and others had already endured it very hard, and now they saw Ulanara, they all laughed, and naturally they all laughed together. Lily sneered and glanced at Ning not far away. She was holding a huge guhan and standing there with a somewhat embarrassed expression. At this moment, her heart was full of the dance she had put so much effort into preparing today turned into a joke when Lily made trouble. She also sang the song in the original plot, but she was playing the pipa at that time, which was not as stunning as the guhan, but similarly, the guhan was far heavier than the pipa. Dancing is inherently a physically demanding job, and Ning not only has to dance, but she also has to sing, and she also has to hold such a heavy guhan. In fact, she was already tired. Lily's behavior now was more embarrassing than a slap on Ning's face. She stood there, listening to the laughter coming from the pavilion not far away. Although she was holding back a little, Ning could still hear it very clearly. The song hadn't finished yet, but there was no doubt that the performance she had carefully prepared seemed to be a big joke now. The weather on August 15th is already very comfortable compared to the previous days. The pleasant climate of autumn, which is neither cold nor hot, is originally the most peaceful time of the year. But now I don't know if it's because of dancing. Causes of excessive sweating. Her back was already wet, and the specially sewn clothes clung tightly to her delicate skin, and the wind brought a chill to her heart. Even though they were far apart, Ning's gaze still fell on Lily across the crowd. Murderous intent surged in her heart. It was the first time she hated a person so much, and she couldn't wait for her to disappear from this world. Yinzhen has been neglecting her for a month. And Ning had never set foot in her yard. In fact, and Ning had already comforted herself that Yinzhen was just a public cucumber. She didn't take Yinzhen seriously at first, but she didn't know that she had been pampered for a long time. Once she so-called when she lost her favor, she was still a little unwilling. She could leave Yinzhen, but even if she wanted to leave, she would have to leave when the flowers were blooming. She just wanted to leave Yinzhen. She should also let him remember her for the rest of his life and keep her in his heart forever. She was not willing to be forgotten after being disliked and neglected. She wants to regain her favor and use Yinzhen to attack Lily. Then shake him off and let him know how precious you are. She was kind to Yinzhen at first. It was an opportunity she gave Yinzhen, but Yinzhen did not cherish this opportunity. Now Ning is not ready to give him this opportunity, and wants to shut him out of her heart forever. It's just that Ning is not an ordinary idiot. She has been calculating in her mind for a long time. She has been practicing a dance desperately since she was imprisoned half a month ago, and asked someone to make a piece of clothing that she likes, just to get it. It was a blockbuster. She jumped once, and all the maids in the courtyard praised her, saying that when she jumped, she looked like a goddess from the 9 heavens. Today's appearance had achieved her effect. In order to perform well, she even gave up her pipa and played using a heavier guhan, and Ning originally knew that the effect of her appearance would be very good. She understood how fairy-like her image was in the eyes of these ancient people who had never seen the world, but Lily ruined it all. Sister Ning, aren't you going to sing? She sings very well, Xiaozi, bring me the copper coins. Lily was sitting in the pavilion, lazily leaning on the back of the chair, grabbing a handful of sunflower seeds in her hand. While taking a sip, Ning stopped and pointed at a distance and shouted. When Ning heard her voice, an unbearable and uncontrollable rage surged out from deep in her heart. At this moment, she finally understood why all the heroine of Qing Chuan in the novel hates Nian so much whenever she marries Sisi. Such an arrogant, ignorant, and stupid woman will not only rely on her face to be able to see, but also pretend to steal men. She will do it again. What to do? Ning felt that she was already a sensible and low-key time travel girl. She never thought about becoming a queen to rule the world, nor did she think about becoming a queen for Kangxi. At the beginning, she even didn't bother to marry Sih to be a princess, but now Lily forced her to do everything, and she wanted Lily to die miserably. She stood in the moonlight with her head lowered. Her slender figure was stretched out by the moonlight, and her hair was spread behind her, making her look pitiful. Yinzhen suppressed a laugh, put his hand into a fist and coughed lightly, glanced at Lily, and was about to tell her to stop messing around, but saw Xiaozi listening to Lily's instructions and handing her a bag. The bag made a clanging sound when it was shaking inside. He remembered what Lily had just said about bringing the copper coins, and frowned. Nian. Before she finished speaking, Lily threw the melon seeds in her hand into the plate on the table, clapped her palms, took the bag, swayed to the edge of the pavilion, and reached out to open the bag. Come on, grab a handful of copper coins and throw them towards Ning. Dance. The copper coins were scattered all over the sky, as if yellow raindrops were falling from the sky. They fell to the ground with a ding-ding-dong-dong sound. The key was Lily's face, which was serious and sarcastic. When she spoke, her tone seemed to bring Ning back to her soul. When she grabbed another handful of coins, the veins on Yinzhen's forehead jumped. He quickly stood up and grabbed her hand. Have you had enough trouble? Ning, who was originally a good song, was so troubled by her that she couldn't even dance. Yinzhen looked at the always proud Ning, standing quietly not far away. Coins fell all over the floor in front of her, and this sight made him feel a little pity in his heart. As soon as Lily was caught by him, she stamped her feet. Master, I'm not making trouble, I just want to use copper coins to express the joy in my heart when I just heard my sister singing. Since I don't like it, I won't sprinkle it if I don't want to. Got it? Her tone made Yinzhen grit his teeth again. Lily packed the money bag, turned to look at Ning not far away, and half smiled, but sister, don't forget to pick up the money that was spilled, this is my sister's wish. As soon as these words were spoken, Yinzhen originally wanted to comfort Ning and pulled her into the pavilion to sit for a while. Ning looked up at him, then suddenly turned around and ran away. Nonsense. You are a teenager, and you are still like a child. People say you are a child, so you are a child? Have you never heard what I told you that day? Yinzhen has been saying these days he was angry and suspicious of Ning, but he had found someone to try the food Ning gave him these days. Not only was there no harm, but it had a strange benefit. He also asked a doctor to check his pulse. The doctor said that his health was much better. Even the imperial doctor said that some of the old diseases he had suffered from in middle age were gone. Well, the scars on his knees and legs from kneeling after seeing Kangzi have also disappeared. Knowing that Ning did not eat anything bad for him, Yinzhen was actually relieved. He originally wanted to wait for his eldest daughter to get married before following him. Ning reconciled, but she didn't expect Ning to show up on her own initiative today. But Lily was angry and ran away. Yinzhen frowned at this moment. Seeing the impatience in his eyes, Lily knew that she couldn't tease him any more today. She could make Yinzhen furious before completing the task, but she had to control her temper. It made Yinzhen furious, but not so angry that he wanted to kill her. When her task is completed, she will not care about it, and Yinzhen deserves to be angry to death. I taught you a lesson, and I will remember it in my heart. Lily bowed obediently. Anyway, Ning was very angry with her today, and he had made her angry enough. Ning was not as calm and rational as before, so she put down the bait. That's enough, now it's just a matter of waiting for the fish to bite. He originally thought that Lily would cry and wipe away her tears again to defend herself. Yinzhen's eyes turned cold, but he didn't expect that Lily would suddenly admit his mistake, as if he had been punched in cotton. Yinzhen was so depressed that he couldn't speak. At this moment, his heart seemed to be stuffed with air. He couldn't swallow it and couldn't spit it out. In the end, he had to say bitterly, "It's good if you know. Go back and copy the Diamond Sutra 10 times, don't come out of the yard again within 10 days. Although he knew that Lily would be better off in her room without leaving the yard, Yinzhen thought that she would have a fierce fight with Ning as soon as she came out. Thinking about that scene really gave him a headache, so he might as well lock her in the yard. But Qing Jing, no matter how hard she tried, Lily responded one by one. It was originally a good moon viewing, but today because of such a commotion, everyone naturally dispersed. Yinzhen let the servant put a cloak on him and left. Seeing that the direction he was walking in was the direction of Ning courtyard, everyone unexpectedly, he went to comfort Ning. Everyone felt sour and hateful in their hearts. Lily returned the 10 borrowed choir girls to Urinala, and led the others back to the yard. To be continued. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 628. P.S. I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions. Now search the WeChat public account Dread and follow it to give more support to Canon Fodder Strategy. After the Mid-Autumn Festival, Yinzhen regained his favor for Ning. In order to coax her, he even asked the Olanala clan to allocate a sum of money to Ning's courtyard to show Ning's different status. The backyard of Prince Yang's mansion was Ning. While she regained Yinzhen's favor with a song and dance, the story of when Lily deliberately made her look embarrassed was still spread behind her back. Master, now that the one over there is favored again, what will Master do in the future? Lily has been in confinement for the 6th day. Now Ning has been favored again and again, and the backyard of Prince Yang's mansion has been turned upside down again. In recent days, When people in Lily's yard went to ask for some hot water, people in the kitchen started to make things difficult. The servants just look at the dishes, and whichever plate the owner likes the most, they will put the food on that plate. Xiaozi thought of how Lily had offended the Niuhulu family this time, and couldn't help but feel a little worried. Thinking about it, he couldn't help complaining, except for the people in the courtyard brought by the master. Several slaves looked a little strange. I don't know where Yuji's little hoof went. Recently, I often don't see people come back to see the slaves don't tear her skin off. As soon as she finished speaking, Lily curled her lips without making a sound, and there was the sound of someone opening the curtain outside, and Yuji's sharp voice rang out, "Xiaozi, whose skin are you going to expose? The master is still here." "Well, there is no room for you to speak." Yuji's personality suddenly calmed down after being punished by Lily last time. Last time, she was afraid of being blamed by Lily because she complained to Yinzhen. Recently, I have been consciously avoiding Lily and not daring to show up. For a long time, although I have been known as a first-class girl, I rarely appear in front of Lily. I almost always act like a fox in the yard. Everything in the room fell on Xiaozi and a nun next to the original owner. When she came back, Xiaozi thought of her behavior just now as if she was gossiping about her, and Yuji looked a little reluctant. I couldn't help but feel a little guilty, and I didn't dare to speak out after hearing this. A girl wearing a grass-green cheongsam and a lake-green waistcoat came into the room. She glanced at Xiaozi first, and after seeing that Xiaozi didn't dare to look at her and lowered her head, Yuji walked towards Lily. He squeezed Xiaozi away with a smile. "Master, this slave has found out something." She looked confident. As if she was sure that what she was about to say would make Lily happy. She had been avoiding Lily these days, but now she took the initiative to come over. Lily calculated the time in her heart. In the plot, Yuji took refuge in Enning. It's time. At that time, Enning had been in the house for more than half a year, and she and Nian Lily were constantly fighting, but Nian Lily was impulsive and irritable at that time. When he was young and ignorant again, he was arrogant and jealous of Enning being favored. He often got into trouble with her over trivial matters. Because of Enning's time travel, he really lived two lives, and his age was at least several years old. At the age of 10, the original owner, a 15-year-old girl, was really no match for her if she wanted to fight with her. Therefore, she was very angry every time and gained a reputation as a mean, cruel, and arrogant person. In the end, she suffered every loss. Because the two of them fought fiercely. One time, Enning's maid met Nian Lily's maid. The two of them quarreled for a while like masters, and while they were fighting, Enning's girl was pushed to the ground, and her head hit a stone and she bled. He died when he was carried back. From then on, Enning was disgusted with Nian Lily. She was very displeasing to her, and the girl who later killed her even regarded Nian Lily as a thorn in her flesh, and wanted to get rid of it quickly, to vent her anger for herself, and to avenge the girl by the way. So she hooked up with Yuji secretly. He went to the hospital, took a pill that could kill Nian Lily, held Yuji's hand, and fed it into Nian Lily's mouth. Back then, Nian Bei trusted Yuji very much and heard that this pill could help her give birth to a child. She was immediately overjoyed. In Prince Yang's palace, she saw Yinzhen doting on Enning more and more day by day. She was still young. If you don't have any heirs, how will you survive the next few decades? Therefore, Yuji's proposal happened to hit her heart. She also heard Yuji say that the pill was a strange medicine that Nian Zhenjiao got from an old Chinese doctor. She swallowed it without hesitation. During those 2 days, Yinzhen, I don't know why she kept resting here. In the end, she was indeed pregnant. However, after 3 months, her belly became strangely bigger, and she seemed to have been sucked dry. By April, her belly became pregnant. It was already as big as a basket, and there were rumors somewhere in the house that she was pregnant with a monster. Finally, and Ning deliberately provoked her, and was seen by Yinzhen. Under the misunderstanding, someone gave Nian Lily a bowl of abortion pills, and she gave birth to 4 children, with bleeding. Coupled with the stimulation of tranquility, Nian Lily died. Lily thought of this, and then saw Yuji's proud and nervous expression, and she had an idea. At that time, Yuji also said the same thing to the original owner, but the original owner believed in her at that time, so she was not as panicked as she is now, and her hands were even trembling. Lily glanced at her and sneered. He said, "I'm in a bad mood right now. If you find out anything, don't tell me. Get out." Master, Yuji suddenly became a little anxious when he heard Lily's words. As soon as he opened his mouth, Lily's brows rose. "I won't say it a second time." Yuji gritted her teeth, with a look of worry and resentment on her face. She hesitated for a moment, stamped her feet angrily, and turned around to go out. It's getting more and more unruly. Although Xiaozi was a little embarrassed when she heard her bad words about Yuji just now, seeing Yuji's behavior now, she still couldn't help but say something, and Lily motioned for her to listen. "I've been feeling unwell lately. Please bring me some black-bone chicken balls. Be careful and go there in person so that no one finds out these black-bone chicken balls are specially made for women to treat gynecological problems in Tongrentang. They are about the size of longan. Big." From the appearance it looks similar to the Duozi pill that Yuji took to Nian Lily in the plot. This body has always been a bit weak, and menstruation is a little inaccurate. If she wants to get pregnant, she will take Wuji pill first. To regulate the body, in the past, the imperial physician would prescribe some pills to the original owner when checking her pulse, but she didn't like the taste because she didn't like them. At this time, when Xiaozi saw that Lily was about to take the pill, she thought she wanted to have children, and was a little surprised. Although Lily ordered not to let others see it, Xiaozi just thought that Lily was thin-skinned and didn't want others to know. So she responded quickly and promised not to let others know. After a while, she quietly brought a box with 6 brown pills in it. Lily took one, wrapped it in a clean handkerchief and hid it in the box. In the cuffs, Xiaozi saw that she didn't take the medicine. Although it was a little strange, considering Lily's current personality, she didn't ask. In the evening, after Lily washed up, she was ready to go to bed. Yuji, who had always avoided Lily in the past, started to actively ask to stay up all night tonight. In the past few months, she was deeply afraid that Lily would torture her if she didn't like her, so how could she avoid Lily? Why did Xiaozi come here and ask for a night vigil? Xiaozi was a little surprised, but Lily motioned Xiaozi to go to bed by herself. Yuji hugged the quilt and lay beside the footrest. When the women and maids outside left each other, the room became quiet. At this time, Yuji tentatively said, "Master, are you asleep? Today, I met someone sent by General Nian to see the master. He said that the general found a strange medicine for you. If you take it, you can get pregnant of." Lily had expected such an incident. Lying on the kong, she silently took out the pills in her hand and pinched them in her palms. She asked in surprise, "Seriously?" Of course Yuji was still a little uneasy at first, but when she heard Lily's joyful tone, she made up her mind and sat up. After flipping through it for a while, she handed over a brocade box. "Master, please see, if you take this medicine and find a way to invite me over, you will definitely get pregnant." After she finished speaking, she added, "This is what the general sent to tell me. It's said to be very effective." Under the dim light coming from outside the screen, Lily saw Yuji's face that was a little happy and a little excited. She sneered twice in her heart and ordered, "If this is really the case, go and do it for me. Pour a glass of water, I'm going to take this pill." After saying that, he reached for the box in Yuji's hand. Yuji did not doubt that he was there. Hearing that Lily agreed to take the medicine so readily, she was overjoyed and responded with a clear voice. Put on clothes and went to pour water. Lily put away the multi-child pills and pinched the black-bone chicken pills in her palm. When Yuji poured the water back, she ate the pills in front of Yuji's face. The appearance of the two pills was very different. Yuji did not find any difference. At this time, when she saw Lily taking the pills, a look of satisfaction appeared on her face. She had completed the task assigned by Ning. She did not thinking about what to say to Lily, fearing that Lily would ask him about the origin and name of the meatballs. Yuji said a few random words, and then the two of them took a break. On the second night, Yinzhen came over with an unhappy look on his face. There was a bit of gloominess in his eyes. He could tell who had made him unhappy. The people in the courtyard happily prepared hot water for the two of them. During the placement, Lily calmly asked someone to bring a game of Go and put it on the Kong table. Kangzi received Chinese cultural education when he was young, and he was very fond of Go. As a prince, Yinzhen would occasionally watch Kangzi play chess. Now it is the period of fighting for the throne. In order to please the emperor, his sons have studied Go to some extent. As soon as Yinzhen saw Lily setting up the chessboard, he couldn't help but take off his shoes and get on the Kong. After choosing the black stone, he took the first one. I'm afraid you are no match for me in Go. The novel Cannon Fodder Strategy will. There are more fresh contents on the official WeChat platform, and there is also a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign on the upper right, add friend, search the official account Dread and follow it. Speed, hurry up. To be continued. PS, first update. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 629. PS, I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions. Now search the WeChat public account Dread and follow it to give more support to Cannon Fodder Strategy. In Yinzhen's view, Lily has always been kept in the boudoir. Even if he can play Go, he can never be his opponent. After all, in order to please Kangzi, he has worked hard at Go. Yinzhen went to Ning today. In the courtyard, for some reason, Ning seemed to have a weird temper today. After arguing with him for a few words, she even hinted that he did not dare to leave her courtyard and come to Nianbei. Although Yinzhen doted on her, he was a prince. Hearing this, he couldn't bear it. He turned around and came over to Lily. He was still a little angry at first, but now he saw Wiki and slowly calmed down. At the beginning, he didn't take Lily as an opponent to his heart, but as time went by, Yinzhen became a little surprised. The character of a person can be seen from the chess pieces. He originally wanted to block Lily in 2 or 3 moves and settle it early. Unexpectedly, Lily seems to be fierce and unruly on weekdays, but when playing chess, she is very calm and patient, playing steadily step by step, neither greedy for success nor any tricks. People who are deliberately planning don't like to encounter this kind of thing. For a person who behaves in a well-behaved manner, Yinzhen couldn't eat for a long time at first, but slowly began to adjust his behavior, and his moves began to slow down. When Lily saw the expression on his face change, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. The original owner knew how to play Go, but was not considered a master. Lily was stable and patient. People with this kind of personality were most suitable for playing Go. In addition, Lily planned to play chess for a long time, so the two of them on the chessboard became exhausted. Because Yinzhen came over tonight, the maid on night duty was guarding the door, and there was no one else in the house. The two of them fought all night. The sky was getting brighter outside, and the personal chamberlain was already calling Yinzhen to get up. Seeing that the winner had not yet been determined on the chessboard, Yinzhen pointed at the chessboard with some reluctance and ordered, "Pick it up. Don't mess with it. I'll come back tonight." After thinking about it, he was afraid that he would not accomplish anything in the woman's yard all night. He only played chess and didn't win, and he felt that his face Wu Guang, "Don't make it public." This was what Lily wanted, and she nodded naturally when she heard this. During the day, Lily slept, and at night, Yinzhen came over and started playing chess again. He stayed at Lily's side for several days in a row. Outsiders thought that Lily was being favored these 2 days. However, Yinzhen stayed up late every night and played chess with Lily. During the day, Lily could sleep to catch up on her sleep, but he couldn't sleep. After a few days, he naturally had green shadows under his eyes. When the women saw the scene in their hearts, they just felt when Lily was so pampered these past 2 days, her heart became more and more gnashing of teeth. And Ning is also the wrong one among the other women. She calculated that Yinzhen rested at Lily's place for 4 consecutive days, and seeing that Yinzhen looked exhausted recently, she secretly cursed Lily for being such a shameless goblin, seducing the man and refusing to let him go, guessing that Lily was now there must be something in her belly. After all, the Duochuan medicine she gave Lily was extremely powerful, because the herbal medicine of Duochuan was not supposed to appear in this world, but she was the daughter of destiny and got it. A magical portable space. That's why I have this herb. Just a little bit of this herb can be made into pills. Once a woman takes this medicine and then has sex with a man, she has almost an 80% chance of becoming pregnant. She had given this medicine to several people when she was not married, and it was effective without exception. Even her mother, Ning, gave her this medicine in this life. As a result, her mother was still pregnant in her 30s, and finally gave birth to a little son for Lingzhu. This kind of herb not only increases the chance of pregnancy, but more importantly, if she takes too much of the herb, the chance of giving birth to multiple babies is also higher. The pills Ning gave to Lily contained more than usually. The pills she made were several times larger, so she was sure that if Lily didn't get pregnant this time, it would be fine. She was lucky, and if she did get pregnant, she would definitely get several in one pregnancy. The medical technology of the ancients was not as advanced as it was in previous lives. If you were pregnant with a child and had a difficult delivery, you would almost step into the gate of hell. Even if you give birth to a child, many people have a greater chance of killing 2 people. If Lily was pregnant with 2 children, she would definitely it will not be easy to survive, and if there are more than 3 children, Lily will definitely die. The most important thing is that because these pills are produced in space, the effects of things coming out of the space are extremely good, which means that the child conceived after taking these pills will develop completely and well, and the nutrients absorbed from the mother will also be better. There will be a lot at that time. It will be equivalent to Lily being a container for children. Maybe before the day comes, these children born under the conditions of space medicine may destroy Nian Lily's delicate body. The body is sucked dry. When thinking of all this, Ning was almost speechless with excitement. Unlike Lily, who had the space to adjust her body, once she became pregnant with multiple fetuses, it would be her death. This is what will happen if Lily dares to offend her. There are many ways to kill her. Ning just didn't want to argue with her before, but Lily angered her. This made Ning feel that she was offended. Only when this person disappears from this world can her anger be calmed. Yinzhen had been resting at Lily's place for a long time these days. Ning didn't want to make Lily feel proud anymore, so after being quiet for a few days, she started to pull Yinzhen back. Everyone thought that Yinzhen was in the past 2 days, he had pampered Lily so much that he seemed overworked, but Yinzhen was not embarrassed to tell others that he did not sleep with Lily. Instead, he went to her yard and never slept at all. Compared to playing Go for a few days without winning a woman, Yinzhen would rather be thought by others that he had spoiled Lily too much in the past 2 days. A few days after Ning pulled him away, the spiritual spring of space was the same as the food. After recuperating, Yinzhen quickly recovered. When Lily held the Duochuan in her hand, she laughed in her heart, and the time for her confinement finally came. In September, the eldest daughter of Yinzhen, who was granted the title of princess, got married, and Lily was finally released from the ban. When they came out of the courtyard, Mrs. Lee and the others looked sour when they saw her. Yinzhen had been resting in her room for several days in the past few days, and her blue eyes had long made Mrs. Lee and the other girls hate her. It was itchy, but Ning looked aloof. The look in her eyes that looked at Lily contained a bit of relief and a look that looked like a god looking down at a fragile mortal, as if Lily was an ant in her palm that she could crush to death at will. Seeing her like this, Lily curled her lips. He let Xiaozi help him to his seat and sat down. First, he winked at Yinzhen who was sitting on the main seat. This move attracted the jealous eyes of countless women. At the same time, Ning's gaze was instantly it became gloomy. Lily pretended not to know what was going on. She reached out to support her waist and touched her belly. Her actions were noticed by Ning, who had been staring at her, and a look of sinister satisfaction appeared in her eyes. I feel like my skin has become a lot rougher recently. Sister Ning's skin is so smooth. I wonder what kind of cream she used, but her complexion is so beautiful. Lily greeted Yinzhen and Ulanala, and her voice suddenly changed. It fell on Ning. Ever since Ning entered the house, Lily and Ning have been openly at odds with each other. However, every time Lily made Ning furious, she would pretend to be sisters with Ning. This attitude was always irritating. When Ning thought about it, his heart beat like thunder. At this moment, hearing her start pointing at Ning and talking, Yinzhen frowned with a headache. While everyone was waiting to watch the show, Ning did not jump up when Lily teased him like before. Instead, Ning showed a ruthless look in his eyes and remained silent. Although Lily said that her skin had become rough, in fact, in the eyes of everyone, there was no difference at all. Li Shi and others thought that she was deliberately looking for trouble, even Yinzhen and Ulanala Shi they all thought the same thing, but Ning believed it firmly. From the time Lily took Duoshuan to when Yinzhen rested in her room. It had been more than 10 days in a row, and the Taikomaru must have taken effect now, so Lily already felt something was wrong. Women are always sensitive about their bodies. Especially Ning has no doubts about her own space and the things produced in her space. The health and beauty effects are far better than ordinary things, but similarly, if used to make poison, the toxicity will be 100 times more toxic than ordinary herbs. Ning was now more and more certain that Lily must be pregnant, so Lily said that the rough skin must be due to pregnancy. Thinking of this, she became excited, and the handkerchief in her hand was squeezed tightly by her. As he spoke, a smile appeared involuntarily at the corner of his mouth. Why didn't Sister Ning say anything? Could it be that she couldn't bear to take out the good stuff when she got it? How stingy! After Lily finished speaking, she curled her lips. Her appearance made Ning angry again. After a while, she gritted her teeth and felt comforted in her heart. Only when Lily herself couldn't live much longer, no matter how arrogant she was, did she feel a little more comfortable. Yinzhen was deeply afraid that the two women would get into trouble when they met, so they dispersed after everyone said goodbye. Lily was the first to leave the courtyard. Feeling the jealous eyes of the women behind her, she smiled and said, he turned around and glanced at Xiaozi. Go to the kitchen and show me what Ning has eaten. Bring it to our courtyard later. A few months into the mission, according to Lily's observation, Ning was very careless in eating, unlike other women in the backyard. Being so cautious, after Lily guessed that she had a portable space, Lily guessed that there must be some detoxification tool in her space. Therefore, other women were afraid of being infected by eating something they shouldn't eat, but Ning was not afraid. In this regard, if she eats something poisonous, there must be a way to detoxify it in the space. Therefore, it is very easy to attack Ning while eating. But the difficulty is that the poison cannot poison her at all. She has to face such a person. A difficult woman to deal with. Nian Behi in the plot is no match for her, and it is not unusual for her to die at her hands in the end. The novel Canon Fodder Strategy will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the official account Dread and follow it. Hurry up. To be continued. PS, the second update. The third update will be on time at 7 o'clock. I have regained my moral integrity in the past 2 days, and I also want to get back my little fan votes. Please help me find them together. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 630. Master, isn't this bad? Xiaozi's eyelids jumped up when she heard Lily's instructions. Lily usually bickered with Ning, but now she wanted to steal her food. They were both Fujin, and they received the same treatment. It's just that Ning is favored and Yinzhen will subsidize her with some good things in private, but Lily is not favored and can only eat herself. But Nian Lily is from a common family after all. If she becomes dissatisfied for a trivial thing and turns to snatching Ning's food, then she is too short-sighted. Talk. What do you know? Lily rolled her eyes and scolded lazily. She took the handkerchief and gently wiped her nails, then raised her slender fingers in front of her and started to read. The well-maintained and neatly trimmed nails are pink in color, without any flower juice, but Nian's hands are in good shape, with crystal clear skin and no bones, and a few light nails can be seen on the back of the hands. In the pear nest, Xiaozi's eyes fell on Lily's hand, and she was a little stunned. She didn't even hear Lily's scolding. When she came back to her senses, Lily had already thrown away the handkerchief and walked forward. After a long distance, she hesitated for a moment, but finally stamped her feet and followed. At first, Xiaozi had thought of going into the kitchen and quietly taking away Ning's food, so that she would not be embarrassed or cause conflicts between the two sides, but Lily just thought it was a trivial matter. Not that it was a big deal. When Xiaozi was about to go to the kitchen, Lily told her, "Be sure to ask clearly which portion is Ning's. Bring it to me. If she wants to make trouble, just ask her to come to me." It was clear that she wanted to deliberately embarrass Ning, so Xiaozi gritted her teeth. He agreed and took the people to the kitchen, and by noon he brought Ning's portion of food back. Xiaozi was still a little uneasy in her heart. When Lily saw the food, she had no intention of eating it and directly ordered people to share the food. It was obvious that he was deliberately trying to cause trouble for Ning. In fact, Ning has her own small kitchen in her own yard. Normally, when she eats, she will replace it with things in her own space and have people cook extra for herself. She actually doesn't even look at some of the tonics and pastries stewed in the big kitchen. On top of that, I usually just reward the servants, let alone her. Fujin has his own small stove in the 3 sides of the house, and the food cooked in the big kitchen usually doesn't taste good. Who wouldn't cook a few things alone to replenish their body? The food sometimes delivered from the big kitchen is usually shared by the 3 masters' personal maids. But it's one thing not to eat it yourself. It's another thing entirely if you can't eat it yourself. It's the same thing. Ning usually eats less food from the big kitchen, but at noon, she heard the girl complaining that her things had been snatched away by Lily. She was so angry that she overturned the table. A person lives for a breath, a tree lives for a skin, even if it is something she does not eat, but if Lily wants to snatch it, the situation will be different. Now Lily is getting more and more arrogant, going to extreme lengths to take away her share. If things continue like this, won't she have to step on her nose and face, and step on her head to pee and poop in 2 days? What is tolerable is simply unbearable, even if Ning has already attacked Lily. Knowing she probably wouldn't live much longer at all. But just thinking about Ning makes her angry. "Nian, you bitch. I don't even care if I'm about to die." Ning couldn't help but cursed a few times. The maid who came to report the news had a crying look on her face. And Ning became angry again when she saw it. She was trembling all over. Why are you crying? You didn't make a sound. Go find Mr. Nian and bring me the things back. If he hadn't thought that he had already attacked Lily. If Lily were in front of Ning at this moment, if Ning had a knife in her hand, she might not be able to control herself. Lily was stabbed to death with several knives. After hearing her words, the girl felt reassured and called a few sisters to go to Lily's place. When Lily heard the people from Ning Yuan coming to ask for food, she couldn't help laughing. I don't know why, but I always feel that Sister Ning the food is particularly delicious, and I have already shared the food with the girls. If Sister Ning is angry and takes 2 taels of silver back, she will treat it as if I have bought her food. Xiaozi trembled as she listened to the side. The girl was angry and resentful. However, the person who said this in front of her was 11 Fujin. There was a fight between the 2 masters. The little girl was angry and resentful. What could she do? She had no choice but to swallow her anger and take the money back to report the news. When she found out that Lily had shared her food with the girls, and only gave her 2 taels of silver, Ning couldn't get angry and fiercely smashed the potted plants on the small table. All the teacups were swept to the floor. Seeing that Lily was about to die, Ning was also afraid that if she got into trouble with Lily, she would have a miscarriage. If so, it would really be an advantage for Lily, so Ning endured it again and again until her heart was about to bleed. She forced herself to endure this tone. Instead of going to trouble Lily, she got furious in her courtyard and smashed countless teacups and lamps. Then she slowly calmed down, but this time she was still angry. She couldn't even eat lunch, and the more she thought about it, the more frustrated she became. In the afternoon, she excused herself to take a nap, got into the space and got angry for a while, and cursed Lily with the most vicious words she could think of. She thought she was about to die tragically, and Ning felt much more comfortable. However, I originally thought that the fight for food would be a one-time thing, but unexpectedly, during dinner, Lily started to ask Xiaozi to find someone to go to the big kitchen to eat peacefully. Master, why on earth is this? Xiaozi was a little confused. The proportions of Fujin's food were all the same, and Ning's food was less delicious. He robbed her of a meal at noon, but Ning resisted and didn't come to look for her. It's good that Lily is in trouble. Now she is favored by Prince Yang Yinzhen. It will do no good to really annoy her. Xiaozi doesn't know what Lily is thinking. Why does she want to go against Ning? The best thing to do is just accept it. If you go to grab the food now, Lily won't touch it, so it's not all distributed to the servants. If Ning makes trouble, it will still be your own master who will be in trouble. If you don't understand, don't ask. Just do as I say. Lily pinched a piece of pastry, crushed it and sprinkled it in the fish tank nearby. Several fish felt the ripples of the thing falling into the water. All swam over here with their tails wagging, scrambling to swallow the cakes into their stomachs. Lily fed her a small piece of pastry, and threw the rest back onto the plate. She clapped her hands and said, "If anything goes wrong, I will be the master to take care of it." What are you afraid of? She was not afraid of Ning getting angry. What she was afraid of was that Ning was too calm. She snatched Ning's food from noon today and humiliated her with 2 taels of silver. However, Ning was quiet over there. Not only did he not come to make trouble with her, but he would. After swallowing this breath forcibly, Lily knew that Ning was prepared to endure it, but she didn't know where the limit of Ning's tolerance was. Lily bent the corners of her mouth, then pinched the handkerchief to suppress the raised corners of her mouth. In the evening, Xiaozi brought Ning's things back. It was still quiet over there. For half a month, Lily always grabbed Ning's food. However, Ning's appearance has been calm these days, but in fact, she has already taken it in her heart. The knife was stabbing Lily's belly. More than half a month had passed. When Ning greeted Uranala in the morning, her face seemed to be covered with a layer of black air, and her eyes were a little sinister. This paragraph, the story of Shillelai's fight with Ning, had already spread throughout the house, and the Olanara clan had also heard about it. However, the two people did not fight on the surface, and Ning himself was robbed of food and did not come to complain to her. Olanala just turned a blind eye and closed one eye and knew nothing. Anyway, she only needs everyone to maintain the superficial peace. As for Ning and Lily, the more fierce the fight between the two, the better. Both of them will lose. For the Olanala clan, the status will be more stable, and she will not. He didn't want the sisters below to unite, so when he saw Ning's sinister eyes these 2 days, Olanara pretended not to see it. I don't know why these days, but I always feel that Sister Ning's food is really delicious. I feel like my skin has improved a lot. Lily had been teasing Ning for half a month, and now Ning has reached the edge of being unbearable. When greeting Olanala in the morning, she deliberately chose this matter to talk about. Even Lee felt the provocation in Lily's words, and Ning naturally felt it too. She felt that she was about to die these days. She couldn't bear it anymore. Nian Lily, a bitch, had trampled her dignity to the ground several times. Even though Lily was about to die after eating her duoshuan, the more Ning thought about it, the more unwilling she felt. Now that she heard her face to face saying this, it was like a slap on his face again. Ning gritted his teeth, raised his head and stared at Lily fiercely without making a sound. Sister Ning, why are you looking at me? Could it be that if I eat something from you, my sister will be unhappy? Why are you so stingy? I'll just pay you money. Lily smiled even more proudly when Ning glared at her. She wore it today. Wearing a bright orange cheongsam and a purple waistcoat with an equally bright rim, her lips were smeared with bright red rouge, her eyebrows were drawn thin and long, and she wore a pink silk flower with a white border on her head. She looked so bright and beautiful, and this gorgeous dress made her complexion look great. Now she looked at Ning with raised brows and looked arrogant and hateful when she smiled. Ning had been forcing herself to restrain herself, not to be like her. She cares about it, but Lily's appearance is really hateful. She endured it like a ninja turtle for a month, and it was so painful that her heart hurt. Now she finally couldn't hold it in anymore and retorted. You are really special. Originally you were just staring at the master in my courtyard, but now it seems to me that you have lowered your sights. You are just staring at the things in the pot and the bowl. Is there anything else you don't want? To be continued. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 631. Ning also spoke harshly. If the original Nian Lily was really no match for her, but now Lily just acted as if she didn't understand the meaning of her words. As soon as Ning finished her sarcastic words, she took off her handkerchief. Covering your mouth and laughing. Sister is right, I just think her stuff is really good. Hearing this, Ning stood up so angry that she gritted her teeth. Lily was really too arrogant. Ning's chest couldn't help rising and falling. After a long while, she sneered, the Nian family is such a good tutor, they have taught you a daughter who will snatch everything, even men. Look at what my sister said. Could it be that Niuhulu's family taught me that she doesn't want anything? It's really better to talk than to sing well. If you have a child, do you want it? If you are so generous, why don't you let them all? Come and give it to me, Lily said, curling her lips, and then laughed again, but I am young and ignorant. To put it bluntly, Niuhulu, even if you want a son, you may not have a son. You can give birth to a child. You are already over 20 years old, which means that I can like you. An old girl like you who is not wanted anywhere may not be able to give birth to a child. Who in an ordinary family would dare to marry? Take advantage of it. The latrine is not open, so let me tell you, if my sister can't give birth, Why don't you have a bodhisattva heart, do more good deeds, and let me out? Why do you have to dominate it by yourself? Lily's nonsense made Ning tremble with anger. She wished she could slap the smile away from Lily's face. What does it mean that she can't give birth to a child? What do you mean she is an old girl? In modern times, a 21 or 12-year-old girl has not even graduated from college. What does Neon Lily, a country bumpkin, know? She simply doesn't want to give birth. It's not that she can't give birth. If she wanted to have children, she had more options than just having 2 babies a year. And Ning felt extremely aggrieved at the moment. She used to treat Yinzhen as just a bed partner. She didn't really want to have children for him, so she had been secretly taking the contraceptive pills she made in space. Therefore, during the more than half a year of being together with Yinzhen, even if they were intimate, but she was always safe. But this kind of safety was now interpreted by Lily as the fact that she would not have children. And Ning immediately went crazy, pointing at Lily and shouting. Say it again if you can. What's the matter? My sister is taking advantage of me and can't give me a son and a half. Why don't you do more good deeds and be more generous, so that all the sisters can accept your love and appreciate your kindness? Otherwise, you won't be afraid of eating alone. One day you won't be able to swallow it, Lily snorted, and deliberately touched her belly again. Seeing this move, Ning became even more furious. She even clenched her fists. At this moment Ning was filled with hatred. She guessed that Lily should know that she was pregnant. After all, she had taken Duo Ziwan. A month has passed since Yinzhen stayed in Lily courtyard. Lily must have known that her son would not arrive this month, so she felt confident that she was arrogant in front of him because she was pregnant. If it weren't for the Duo Ziwan he gave her and the fact that he deliberately drove Yinzhen into her room, Lily would have just dreamed of her if she wanted to get pregnant. And Ning screamed fiercely in her heart. She wished she could tell all the truth to stimulate Lily, but she didn't want Lily's accident to happen so quickly. And Ning was heartbroken. I was so angry that I died. At this moment, I felt like I had shot myself in the foot. Besides, I'm so stingy when I snatch a bowl or 2 of food from you. I'll let Ziozi get 50 taels of silver later. Sister Ning can buy whatever she likes to eat. Lily didn't mind that the matter was causing a big fuss, so she showed off at this moment. Act like you have money. And Ning was so angry that she was breathing heavily. Li and others around her thought the same thing. But no one dared to speak out like she did, so everyone was silent. Seeing Ning's face turned black and her cheek muscles twitching because of her anger, Balanala suppressed the satisfaction in her heart. Just say hello. Okay, we are all good sisters, there is no need to hurt the harmony. I'm not feeling well. Let's go first. Ning bit her lip and gave Lily a cold look. She had no intention of giving face to Alanala. She stood up and said, I'm not feeling well. La's face looked a little ugly, and Lily stretched out her hand to cover her mouth and smiled, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable now. I guess I'll faint later. The doctor asked for a pulse. I guess I'm pregnant, right? Someone around heard this and couldn't help laughing. Many people looked a little uncomfortable, especially Li. She snorted and changed her posture. And Ning lowered her head and looked coldly. He glanced at Wu, who had just laughed out loud, and finally cast his sinister eyes on Lily. Then he straightened his back without looking back and walked out with stiff steps. As soon as she left, everyone who had watched such a good show today dispersed in 2s and 3s. Lily went out with an arrogant look on her face. Ziozi breathed a sigh of relief and wiped her head after leaving the Olanala courtyard. Sweating on his face, he whispered, Master, the slave looked at Fujin just now, as if he was going to chew you alive. At that moment, Ziozi almost thought that Ning was going to hit Lily, but Lily still refused to tease her, and Ning finally endured it. When Ziozi thought of Ning's eyes, Her calves were still trembling. Look at the great show today, please open your eyes wider. Niuhulu will pay back all the anger your master suffered in the past. Lily twisted the handkerchief and wiped her forehead with a sneer. He made a sound, squinted his eyes and glanced in the direction of a Ning courtyard, then put his hand on Xiaozi's wrist and let her support him back. As soon as Ning returned to the courtyard, she lost her temper first. She threw away the shoes on the bottom of the flower pot as soon as she entered the courtyard door, and smashed a few tea bowls. After venting her resentment, she then after cursing Lily, when Yinzhen returned home, he heard that Ning and Lily were fighting again this morning. He couldn't help but frowned with a headache. Recently, Ning had won his heart, and she seemed to have something. The secret is, Yinzhen is not stupid. Every time Ning gives him something to eat, I don't know where it comes from. After taking it, his energy will always be much better, and his health is better than before recently. Although Yinzhen feels sorry for her in his heart, still a little wary, he no longer mentioned important matters in the DPRK to her. But when he usually eats and rests, he still likes to go to Ning. When he entered the yard and saw the girls silently cleaning up the mess in the yard, he couldn't help but sigh. Why are you angry again? Why are you arguing with Nian? Are you saying again that she is just a child? She is also unruly and willful and ignorant, so I know she deserves to be left alone, and Ning was furious when she heard what Yinzhen said. She was now he didn't want to listen to Mr. Yinzhen's advice to be patient with Lily. She regretted what she said about Lily being young and ignorant. Ever since she said that, every time Lily ridiculed her, she would use her young age and ignorance as an excuse. Even Yinzhen always used these words to make her laugh. Be patient, why should you give in to Lily if you have a general sense of dignity? She refused to give in. In Ning's heart, she and Yinzhen are equal beings. Even because of her status as a time traveler, Yinzhen used to be somewhat fond of her, and she had space. Therefore, she still had a sense of superiority in front of Yinzhen. When talking to him, she always said you and mine, and she never paid attention to the etiquette of respect and inferiority. She felt happy as she pleased. In the past, Yinzhen thought it was up to her to be fresh, but now Ning is in a bad mood, her tone is not good when speaking, and her expression is very ugly. After all, Yinzhen himself was of royal blood, a proud man of heaven, and he usually just bowed to Kangxi. But when he returned to the house, a woman dared to show her face to him. He couldn't help but feel a little angry in his heart, so he endured it and said nothing. She dared to slap her nose and face like this in front of me just because she was pregnant. She has robbed me of things for several days. When Ning thought of this, she felt so angry that she couldn't help but clenched her fists again. Yinzhen, his brows furrowed, don't talk nonsense. Where is she pregnant? Ever since Ning entered the house. Although he rested in Lily courtyard for a few days, he and Lily were playing chess during those days and did not touch a single hair of Lily. At this time, Ning said that Lily was pregnant. It was like saying that he had been cuckolded, and Yinzhen gradually felt a little unhappy in his heart. His expression also showed a bit of sternness. Are you still helping her now? Yinzhen's denial made Ning feel cold in her heart. She was very confident in the medicine she gave Lily. In her opinion, Lily was already pregnant, but she didn't expect that Yinzhen was pregnant. Zhen would deny it. Yinzhen, who Ning originally thought would be on her side, actually stood on Lily's side again. She originally thought that Yinzhen was so good to her, but she hesitated in her heart whether to stay with her for the rest of her life. He, not even himself, dislikes the fact that he has had so many women, and he has also touched Lily, but now Yinzhen's words have personally closed the door to her heart. From now on, Yinzhen will never want to enter her heart again. Okay, Yinzhen gradually became impatient as he always struggled with this issue. He was busy with official duties every day. For him, the most important thing now was to compete for the throne. Although he liked Ning, He always kept making trouble like this. But it also made him upset. What he needs now is peace and real tranquility, not such noise. If you think she ate your food, I will pay you double the amount. Now Yinzhen has seized the throne. Needs the help of the Nian family. Although Ling Zhu had merit in offering ginseng, his foundation was too poor after all, and his son was too young to take over. It was not like all the three masters of the Nian family could be used by him. With great help, Lily can't move now. Yinzhen doesn't believe this and An Ning doesn't know. To be continued.